It Takes Two was a rare gem, a co-op game that not only got my wife back into gaming after years away, but gave us one of the most fun, emotional, and downright wild gaming experiences we've ever shared.
We're really sorry for this!
Yeah, we don't like violence!
My leg! No! Oh my gosh!
Keep it going, sweetie!
Oh, don't stop, darling! Come on, let it all out!
Sweet tears!
So when I first saw the world premiere trailer for Split Fiction, I'll be honest, I wasn't impressed. It looked like a generic sci-fi fantasy puzzle game, nothing that screamed must play. But if there's ever been a time to not judge a book by its cover, it's now. Because once again, Joseph Fares proved me wrong. Split Fiction didn't just meet expectations, it blasted past them. The story? Fantastic. The gameplay? Wildly creative and constantly surprising. And the co-op experience? Just as magical, if not more, as It Takes Two. So let's dive into why Split Fiction might just be your next favorite co-op game, and how it gave me and my wife yet another unforgettable adventure in the world of video games.
Wait, so you're telling me everything we just went through wasn't inspired by anything?
Nope.
Yeah.
I borrowed the name from an old tree me and my sister used to climb.
You know, every summer we used to
Look. I'm sure this means a lot to you. But do I have to remind you that we're stuck in a simulation? We have to move.
Clearly something is bothering you with all of this. Let me help you.
Look, I don't need yours or anyone else's pity. I'm fine on my own.
The story follows two protagonists, Mio and Zoe. Mio is short-tempered with a constant intensity in her expression that makes it clear that she doesn't want to be bothered. She carries herself with a guarded, standoffish demeanor, preferring distance over conversation. Zoe, in contrast, is warm, outgoing, and endlessly optimistic. She's the type who naturally connects with people, always looking for the good in others and believing in their potential. Their personalities are polar opposites, and that contrast is a major driving force throughout the narrative. Alongside a handful of other aspiring authors, Mio and Zoe meet with a representative from Raider Publishing. They're writers with big dreams, each hoping to finally get their stories out into the world. Mio writes deeply imaginative science fiction stories filled with harsh realities, futuristic tech, and existential questions. Zoe, on the other hand, is enchanted by medieval high fantasy with tales of enchanted forests, noble quests, and magical kingdoms. Their differing genres not only highlight their creative strength, but also reflects the deeper differences in how they view the world. The group believes they've been called in for a standard publishing deal, but things take a strange turn. Instead of a typical meeting, they're asked to put on high-tech suits and step onto a platform attached to a mysterious machine. From the moment they arrive, something feels off. Mio, ever the skeptic, immediately questions everything. But before she can act, she's stopped and ends up falling into a containment bubble where Zoe is already unconscious. And just like that, the surreal adventure begins. Split Fiction is, at its core, a story about two unknowns fighting to hold on to their voices in a world that's trying to silence them, and discovering themselves in the process. On one side, you have a corporate mastermind who's created a device designed to extract the creative energies from writers. The plan? To feed this inspiration into a machine, training it to generate stories on demand, effectively replacing human writers with instant mass-produced content. It's a chilling reflection of real-world concerns in the creative industry, where AI threatens to devalue genuine human expression for the sake of corporate efficiency. But layered within that broader conflict is a more personal one, the emotional journeys of Mio and Zoe. As the story progresses, they find themselves transported into perfect recreations of their own written world. These are more than just imaginative landscapes. They're reflections of who they are and what they've experienced. Through these worlds, the characters are forced to confront truth they've kept hidden. For Mio, that means breaking down the walls she's carefully built. She's closed off, internalized, and skeptical of letting anyone in. Zoe, with her gentle persistence, slowly chips away at those defenses. She helps Mio realize that storytelling isn't just a creative outlet, it's a window into the writer's soul. Every scene, every choice in a story carries pieces of its author, whether they realize it or not. Both Mio and Zoe are navigating their own unresolved traumas. Writing is their coping mechanism, a way to process pain, understand themselves, and yes, hopefully get published and make a living too. But behind the dream of success is a need to heal, to express, and to connect. At first, I'll admit it, I didn't like Zoe. I saw myself in Mio, focused, guarded, and just wanted to be left alone to get things done. Zoe felt like the kind of person who pushes too hard, asks too many questions, and doesn't know when to back off. I was frustrated on Mio's behalf. But as the story unfolded, I started to see Zoe differently. Sometimes we all need someone like her. Someone who refuses to let us keep running from what hurts. Someone who helps us face the things we'd rather ignore. Her presence isn't just comforting, it's necessary. The writing throughout Split Fiction is sharp and emotionally resonant. The dialogue feels authentic, carrying both weight and vulnerability, but what truly elevates it all is the voice acting.
But how are we supposed to get out of here if we don't start to trust each other?
I don't need your trust.
Well, I kinda need yours. Not everyone is out to get you. Sometimes, it can be healthy to vent.
Elsie Bennett and Keija Chan gave phenomenal performances as Zoe and Mio. Every line feels honest, you can hear the pain, the joy, the doubt, and the hope. They bring a depth to these characters that makes every moment feel lived in and real. Their chemistry carries the emotional arc of the story, grounding even its most surreal moments in something deeply human. Overall, Split Fiction delivers a powerful narrative, one that explores the dangers of creativity being commodified, while also celebrating the healing and transformative power of storytelling. It's thoughtful, timely, and emotionally rewarding in all the right ways.
Anyone who wishes to pass through my hands must first prove themselves worthy.
It Takes Two was praised for its wildly varied gameplay, each level introducing brand new mechanics, fresh puzzles, and unique combat segments that never repeated themselves. The same design philosophy was carried over into Split Fiction, and honestly is one of the game's biggest strengths. The beauty of setting your story inside a VR machine where anything can happen is that anything can happen. And Hazelight Studios did not waste a single opportunity to run wild with that idea. Things start off simple. You're running, jumping, and navigating platforms, getting a feel for the basic traversal and movement mechanics. It eases you in gently, but just when you think you got the hang of it, the game flips the script. Suddenly, you're a cyber ninja. Mio wields a katana and gains the ability to shift her gravitational axis, letting her run along walls and ceilings. Zoe, meanwhile, gets a high-tech whip straight out of an action movie, toss objects like she's channeling her inner Indiana Jones. Split Fiction isn't just one game, it's a collection of different gameplay genres, all stitched together with creativity and care. One moment you're playing a fast-paced action slasher, or even an experience like an ARPG like Path of Exile or Diablo. Then we have a world with a shooting genre as the base where we solve puzzles with our guns on top of destroying robots. What makes Split Fiction shine are the moments where the gameplay style and perspective change completely. 1 second you're running through a 3D environment, the next you're side-scrolling through a platformer, trying to keep your perspective straight while the world turns upside down, literally. Gravity flips, platforms rotate, and the challenge becomes about perspective as much as precision. Then there's the transformation story world. Players take on roles of 4 mythical creatures. One becomes a massive monkey that can climb and throw devastating punches, as well as transform into a slippery fish that has to navigate through piranha-infested waters. It's a fun contrast in mobility, with one player handling both brute force while also zipping around underwater hazards. The other character becomes a floating fairy while also turning into a massive ant-like tree creature. What starts off feeling like a straightforward zone quickly escalates into a cooperative sequence where the tree, now channeling the powers of Mother Earth, has to shift the train in real time to help the other player traverse. Timing and communication become very essential. And just when you think it couldn't get more out there, you're playing pinball. One player becomes the ball, the other controls the flippers. It's chaotic, it's hilarious. The next, you're inside a sketchbook, navigating a hand-drawn world that's literally forming as you walk through it. Another level traps you inside a television set. One player is stuck behind the screen, while the other is outside physically kicking and smacking the TV to change the environment inside. It's silly, inventive, and somehow emotionally grounded. And a word of advice, do not skip the side stories. These smaller optional levels hold some of the most hilarious and creative moments in the entire game. There's one in particular, let's just say involves becoming an adorable pig, and it's pure gold. Trust me, you'll know when you see it. Now, I played Split Fiction with my wife, and let me tell you, she is not a gamer at all. Back in the day, she used to dabble with Kingdom Hearts and a few other classics, but it has been a few years since she's touched the controller. So going into this, I knew that patience was going to be important. There were parts where she struggled, especially the shooting segments. Aiming with a controller, if you're not used to it, is easily one of the most difficult things to get the hang of, and that's okay. So if you're playing Split Fiction with someone who's not as experienced, whether it's a partner, a friend, a family member, be patient, be encouraging. Remember, they're stepping into your world and giving your hobby a shot. That deserves respect. Now, bless my wife. She had a rough time in some sections, but I never jumped in to take over. I waited. I stood back and I let her figure it out. Even in boss fights where timing mattered. Sometimes letting someone struggle a little is the best way to let them grow, and watching her overcome those challenges made the entire experience feel even more rewarding. Split Fiction delivers on every front. Narrative, voice acting, gameplay is a beautifully crafted experience that's full of heart, creativity, and messages that can resonate with you. Honestly, I struggled to find any real flaws. Except for one thing. Why is Raider, the villain, so obsessed with stealing people's stories to train his machine when he literally invented full dive VR technology? Do you know how many people would throw their money at him just to escape into these virtual worlds voluntarily? We're out here dreaming of full dive games like Sword Art Online or Ready Player One, and this guy is worried about publishing contract. My guy, just sell the tech. You'd be richer than any writer you're trying to exploit. Missed opportunity if you ask me. But I digress. If you've ever wanted a meaningful game to share with a friend, a sibling, or a partner, something that's fun, emotional, and downright unforgettable, Split Fiction is absolutely worth your time. Whether you're both seasoned gamers or one of you is brand new to the hobby, this is the kind of co-op experience that brings people closer together. You'll laugh, you'll struggle, you'll cheer each other on, and by the end, you'll have a shared memory you'll talk about for months. I can honestly say that I can highly recommend Split Fiction.
Some nights, I force myself to zoom out.
Zoom out.
The bigger the trouble, the bigger the zoom. It helps me see how insignificant some of my worries are.
Huh. Does it work?
It gives me some perspective. And enough room to breathe.
You do know there is no oxygen in space though, right?
Now hold on.